I have formatted this presentation just a little bit differently. I've made a prepared statement that I want to read to you. It's one part of my life story. At the end of this, I've attached a couple of videos that should show to you that everything that I'm going to read in here is true and accurate. But in the end, it's for you to make your own decision. I will tell you my name, but my name is not who I am. This is one part of my story. My name is Ken Boonstra. I was asked to explain my situation from my perspective. For my part, I have always put my best foot forward and have put my shoulder into all of my work. I have always been a truck driver earning a good wage up to a peak in 2006 of $80,000. I have not been unemployed since I first entered the job market at the age of 14. Yet I have never been able to catch, as it were, a break. I am not lazy. I am well educated on every topic from astronomy, geology, theology, Grecian, French, American, and British histories. I dabble in the structure of the atom and the purposes of the particle colliders. Mathematics interests me, though I am not a mathematician. The theory of evolution versus the facts of creation is a fascination for me. I have a reasonably deep understanding of both the Mayan pyramid and the Egyptian pyramid. I have an appreciation for art, literature, poetry, music, and Shakespeare. I have negotiated labor agreements affecting the short side of 1,000 members for Local 162 out of Portland, Oregon. I have enjoyed innumerable debates on doctrinal or dealing with doctrinal interpretations and political idealisms. Among other things, I have also been on church building programs and been part of the Electoral College for Politics. In April of 2011, I gave my brother Mike and his family a check for over $65,000. This was money that he had no legal and no moral right to whatsoever. My brother and my dad hated each other, so my dad did not want my brother to get any of his money. But I still split it with him, because that's what the Bible says to do. I tell you this as a single illustration that my character as a man is responsible and kind, and has always been so throughout my entire life. I could give you a lifetime of examples of significant acts of kindness and generosity to both my enemies and my friends. Yet for all that, I am now penniless and apparently friendless too. For the last 5 years since my divorce, I have lived in a 23-foot long travel trailer that is 17 years old. The roof leaks and the heating system quit about 4 years ago, and it is small. Life is a thing that we live to the moral code we have chosen for ourselves, and then do the best we can with the cards that we are dealt. Each of us is tested at certain points in our lives by way of one difficulty or another. In my case, it was marital and financial devastation beginning in early 2007. Things and circumstances that are too big and too ugly and even too emotionally painful to reveal in this type of record. My situation just kept getting worse until I finally even lost my job as a truck driver in February of 2011. I have no more phone or internet or TV. My electricity is in limbo, and I have reached the utter bottom of all viable options. I don't even have a bank account anymore. My wages were cut every year from 2008. until I became unemployed in February of 2011. In April of 2011, I inherited a piece of property along with $65,000 in cash. But because I lost my job and another court rendered a fierce financial burden upon me that I had to pay to my ex-wife, along with other obligations, I can no longer pay even the taxes on my property. I became so broke that I was starving to death, literally, for a 5-month period from the end of September 2011 to the end of February 2012. I am a proud, responsible, intelligent, hard-working man of 47 years. I do not boast. I only explain why it is that I went 55 days without any food before asking for help. My mom, my brother Mike and his wife, as well as my aunts and uncles, are all witnesses to the truth of this, as well as the truth of my character as a man. I had asked all of them for help 4 times. I even begged. And not a single one would lift a finger or give me even a single dollar in kindness. I am surprised at how shallow and unkind people can be. I discovered when some people are in a position that allows them the free choice to either help someone, even a loved one, or to heap more burdens and more difficulties, most people will choose meanness or simply turn a blind eye. People will tell you how much they care about you and how much they love and respect you. But when I was dying, even the death of starvation in front of them, they chose to turn a blind eye and walked away every time I asked for help. So now the question is asked by your or my difficult situation: what will you do now? When my brother and my mom, aunts, and all my uncles all found one excuse or another to not help me, I was able to sell some wood and other things that were able to feed me for about 30 days and to help me pay a few bills. After that, I lived for 3 months by way as follows. I would go 17 days without food. Then I would receive a tiny bag of leftover groceries from my mom that I would make last for 3 days. Then I would starve for another 15 to 17 days and receive another tiny bag of leftover groceries, and so on. I wonder at the excuses people come up with in order to not help someone who is in desperate straits. Some wanted me to see a psychologist. Some thought I needed antidepressant drugs. Another says they need more time to think about it. But the most shame-filled excuses were those who say they are still praying for me, as well as for guidance from God on what it is that they should do. Here I am, completely broke and literally starving to death and begging for help, and they have to pray. Keep in mind that my family members are all financially well off. They are not millionaires, but they all have much disposable income, paid off homes and 6-figure incomes, vacation properties, etc. I pleaded again one last time with each one of them, this time asking each for $5,000 so that I could have some startup money to get a new start in life, a leg up, or even a foothold in life. This, by their own admission, was an entirely reasonable amount to ask of them. However, after much debate and yet more waiting, they again refused kindness. They preferred instead to see if they could get me to give them my property for next to nothing. Where will I live if they have their way and take my property? So dark the con of man. People perversely measure kindness by giving you phone numbers to government agencies. They will even tell you where the nearest food bank is and call that a good deed. But they will not give you even $1 out of their own pocket in genuine kindness. An act of kindness is to simply treat others the way you would want to be treated. Kindness is an act done to gain honors from God, not man. When a person is financially stronger, they, for some reason, find a perverse joy in humiliating someone who is down or weaker than themselves, and then they call it kindness. If you ever become so broken by the grinder of life and so helpless that you must go to a food bank, then the perverted people who refuse to lift a finger in kindness will rush down with their cameras, put your face in the newspaper, and call it kindness. When your legs are taken out from under you, people will not waste a moment in putting their foot upon your neck or their knee in your guts. All the while they look you in the eye and say the words, "I care about you," or "We love you," or "I hope everything is going well," as they walk away. It is as though people have no more fear of God at all. Nor does anyone have any love for God either. Humiliation of the helpless and the broken is the joy and happiness of the cruelest heart. Let me repeat that. Humiliation of the helpless and the broken is the joy and happiness of the cruelest heart. I only want to let you know that my circumstance is difficult in the extreme. I also want to be clear that I understand that I am not someone else's responsibility. My problems are my problems. My difficulties are my difficulties. My walk is my walk. I have included 2 short videos that should show you that I am not making any of this up. I made the first video in mid-February 2012. I had not eaten for 17 days straight, 4 times in a row, plus the 55 days that I mentioned earlier. Just 5 months before I took this video, I was right at 250 pounds in September of 2011. Sincerely, Ken Boonstra. P.S. If you intend to be an advocate for people, please watch the videos. Note that when I speak of the torturer in the video, I am speaking of my empty stomach as well as my ever-weakening state. If you were desirous or needful to verify the veracity of my story, then there are many people you can talk to.